anthems. Do we kneel? Do we stand?
If we could just right our wrongs, we wouldn't need two songs.
We don't need another publicity parade.
So we'll just stay inside.
Until it's time to play the game.
Whatever happened to the funds that were promised? All of a sudden, we got a collapsed pocket?
The bottom line should not be the net profit.
You can't open your heart when it's controlled by your wallet.
Decals and patches.
Fireworks and trumpets?
We're not puppets.
Don't publicize false budgets.
Ask the pundits, and we shouldn't have a say.
If you speak up for change, then I'll shut up and play.
If we remain silent, that would just be selfish.
Since they don't have a voice, we're speaking up for the helpless.
It's not enough to act like you care for the troops.
Millions for pregame patriotism. You get paid to salute.
Lift every voice and sing.
It's just a way to save face.
Lose the mask and stop hiding the real game face.
So if my dad was a soldier, but the cops killed my brother, do I stand for one anthem and then kneel for the other?
This attempt to unify only creates more divide.
So we'll skip this song and dance.
And as a team, we'll stay inside.
We need changed hearts, not just a response to pressure.
Enough. No more fluff and empty gestures.
We need owners with influence and pockets bigger than ours.
To call up officials.
Inflicts political power.
When education is not determined by where we reside.
And we have the means to purchase what the doctor prescribed.
And you fight for prison reform and innocent lives.
And you repair the communities that were tossed to the side.
And you admit you gained from it and you swallowed your pride.
And when greed is not the compass, but love is the guide.
And when the courts don't punish skin color, but punish the crime.
Until then, we'll just skip the long production and stay inside.
For centuries, we've been trying to make you aware.
Either you're in denial or just simply don't really care.
It's not a black-white thing.
Or a left-right thing.
Let's clean the whole bird.
And stop arguing about which wing.
Before the media starts wondering and guessing, they just answered all your questions. We'll just stay inside.
A powerful message. Everyone's involved. Black, white, the coach, Brian Flores, who's been very outspoken about social justice. Everything from mentioning glass pockets to fireworks and trumpets being a distraction to calling out the owners who have deep pockets and connections that can make change. Nate, as a black man, as a man who played in the NFL and a man who I know poetry speaks to on every level more than I know anyone, what did you think of this video?
Powerful. Impactful. Even though some might argue about the timing, I feel like it was spot on. The fact that we're talking about it right now, it resonated. I hear what they're saying. As much as I can appreciate the addition of Lift Every Voice and Sing, a song through representation can speak to the African Americans that make up so much of this league. What's going to happen after that? For black people, we have to understand how we see things. Like, we've been singing songs since Negro spirituals. So if we hop on that football field and we go score touchdowns, the crowd cheers, and then we leave that stadium and nothing happens, then what's the point? I understand what they're saying. We've been taught since a very young age when we were playing football. Doesn't matter what you eat, how you warm up, what you do before the game. If you don't have a game plan when you step in between those lines, you're going to lose. So let's take that same thing and apply it to life. If you don't have a game plan, you're going to lose. So the Miami Dolphins are saying, listen, okay, we go out there. Some stand, some take a knee, some stay in the locker room. What are you going to do? What are the owners going to do? What are the GMs going to do? What are the coaches going to do? We oftentimes see these pictures and these videos of owners rubbing shoulders with politicians and people of power. They're at these events and these galas. What are you doing? Are you just rubbing shoulders? Are you using your position to help the players that are literally crying out saying, people that look like me are hurting in this country and I want to do my part. Can you help me? So regardless if you want to disagree with people staying in the locker room, taking a knee, taking a stand, what are we doing moving forward? Which is why I appreciate a couple of weeks ago when the Baltimore Ravens made that statement. The most comprehensive statement from any organization. Very detailed about qualified immunity, body cams, no choke holds, no knock warrants. They went deep. They went deep and they're pushing. They're pushing for change from the ground up. And I think what the Miami Dolphins are doing, they are making a statement saying, what are we doing next? What is our game plan? Until we do, we're going to stay in the locker room.
I think Nate puts it beautifully. I also think that the NFL can't script what's going to happen as far as social justice reform goes in the country, and the NFL can't script how players and teams are going to react. This happened 30 minutes before kickoff. It went on Twitter, and it had 28,000 retweets in the first 5 minutes. I mean, the NFL can do all they want, and they can try to do everything they can to bring unity, and we could do this. We could really all be all in it. If the Dolphins drop a video like that and steal the headlines, that's going to be the conversation. And it's not just the NFL, it's every organization. So to me, it's one of these things where this is going to be a long process of a lot of opinions and a lot of change. Everyone's going to have a different opinion. Everyone's going to have a different point. And also, you can't script it. Nobody can. And it's not out of bad will or it's out of not trying to have a good intention. But this is going to happen, and we're going to have to adjust. I think Robert Woods at Hard Knocks had a great point. Everyone was saying, okay, well, the Bucs had their game canceled. We should miss. Robert Woods, an African-American player, basically stood up in front of the team and said, all right, we could skip practice, but what would that do? Like, what are we going to do? So to me, it's about action. It's not about gestures. It's not about songs. It's not about words. And I think that this video is one example of many that will come in the first weekend where teams are saying, well, yeah, but this is what we want, and we want to express ourselves that way. And there's 32 different teams, and there are millions of Americans who have a lot of opinions on this stuff. You can't script how it's going to go down.
You can't. And I know that Coach Flores at the end said we've answered all your questions. I don't know if that's true, because I come away with it thinking there's a question that I still don't have total clarity on, and that's exactly who are you talking to? Who are you appealing to? Is this message for the commissioner? Is this message for the president? Is it for owner Stephen Ross of the Dolphins? He mentions at one point, they mentioned owners with influence, plural. Is this for Ron DeSantis, the governor of Florida? Like, to that point of action and some actual things happening and a result, I think you really have to hit someone with the sledgehammer about who you're talking to and what you want. I will say this, the video did make me think, and it made me think of all these things that the league has done with the phrases and then the jumbotrons and on the helmets. Does that do anything? Does it do anything, or is it just a nice try and a nice gesture? I actually think it does, in the smallest of ways. Because when you put Black Lives Matter in a massive jumbotron in Arrowhead Stadium and a massive TV audience, it forces actual conversations to happen. My son's 6 years old. He's just learning to read. He could sit down on me and read Black Lives Matter and ask me what that means, and then I have to explain it to him, and I tell him this is how it's going on, and this is what's happening in the world. Like, if the NFL doesn't do that, that conversation may be delayed until he's older. It brings it to the forefront. So I don't think it's vacant. I don't think it's empty. And to Peter's point about, okay, so you're going to go to the locker room for the anthem. Well, the Texans did that. How is that any less empty than trying to put these phrases and all these powerful words all over the broadcast? Everybody's trying. It's going to take some time. I would just like a little more specific about where the direction's going and what they're going to do when they get there.
No doubt. Well said. And I feel like what we tried to accomplish, and I mean us as a show, us as a league, players, coaches, everybody involved, is we tried to first force the conversation, and then we did. And then all of a sudden we started talking. And right now, the conversation is here. And I think players are starting to get a little concerned that once the football starts flying around and the fans start cheering and the touchdowns start happening, that the conversation will start to mute itself. Now we got to force the hand of the individual with the power to dig in their pockets and to do more for those communities that support their squads. Force the hand so these guys can reach and talk to people in positions of power. You know, before people sit back and they want to criticize and they want to boo in the stadium, I would just say this. If you're going to sit there and boo with two teams locking arms, races represented, religions represented, genders represented, are you using that same type of effort and energy in your voice to speak up for social injustice? I think I know the answer.
Well said.
But if you're not, then the boos should literally be thrown in the mirror so they can bounce right back at you.
Couldn't say it any better. I don't think anybody here can. Nate, we continue to thank you for every day waking up and being willing to share. I can't imagine how grating that must be, but I appreciate it and I learn every time. So I appreciate your perspective. You guys, thank you so much. This conversation's not going anywhere. In fact, Steve Weiss will be joining us later in the show to continue the discussion on social injustice in this country, and NFL is leading the way.